Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Asha. How are you doing today? I hope everybody is doing well. I wanted to ask you a question. How often has your mind just started racing on its own? You read one email, one comment, one news flash, one newsreel, whatever it is, one expected change in your day, and all of a sudden, your mind is going down a different rabbit hole, imagining all the outcomes that haven't even happened yet or may never happen. And we start just racing. And you ever thought, at that point, why does my mind do this? Why can I not stop overthinking? Well, you're not alone. And that's what we're going to talk about today. It's important to figure out what's going on because everybody does this. What's interesting about this is that people don't just imagine best case scenarios nearly as often as the doom and gloom scenarios. It may be having an effect with the negativity in our world, what we choose to read, what we choose to consume, but we don't usually think, wow, this is probably going to work out beautifully. Now, if you have trained yourself to do so, then you probably are. And I would recommend that you try to look at the bright side of life, try to look at all the possibilities instead of going down a negative rabbit hole. But this is what we do. We think instead of things are going to work out beautifully, we think, what if this goes wrong? What if I don't know what to do? What if I miss something? What if I made a mistake? What if it turns out into a bigger problem? And we just keep going and going and going. Your mind is very creative. Let's start to use it in a positive way. It's not just about being optimistic, it's about training ourselves. Worst case scenario thinking, I think, is something that we all can understand. Worst case scenario thinking is not a flaw. It's because our bodies and our brain is designed to protect ourselves. Our brain says safety first. We have to be safe. Our nervous system says everything has to be safe in our environment. We have to be safe. And it's not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's not negativity. It's just a form of protection that's kind of built in, and your mind is designed to do this, from protecting us from potential threats or reducing uncertainty. We want to realize that a lot of this is subconscious, but when something feels, unclear, our mind tries to fill in the gaps. And that's where we can usually step in and say, okay, wait a second. We get into this panic mode and we say, okay, I need to prepare, not relax, but I need to prepare. And this is why telling yourself, just think positive, just doesn't work. It rarely works. The mind that you're trying to control can be a monkey mind, and it's trying its best to do its job. It's not trying to ruin your day, but it's just trying to keep you safe. And that's how things show up in life. I see this all the time. People replay conversations that they had in their head. Like maybe they had this conversation a week ago and they're still replaying everything. They overanalyze, constantly talking, the tone, the timing, what was said, what words were used, and what context things. They imagine consequences that haven't even happened. And why? When I ask them what they're worried about, it rarely is something dramatic. It's usually something like, I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to fail. I don't want to disappoint anybody, or I don't want to have regrets later. And the worst case scenario thinking often shows up where something matters. That's when we really get afraid. And when we feel stuck is when we need to reassure ourselves. We reassure ourselves logically. It's probably fine. I'm overthinking. When we can do that, when we can talk to ourselves that way, it will help us learn to reflect upon what's going on. There's no evidence that this will happen. Let's just take it one step at a time. I don't need to overanalyze. I don't need to speculate. And for a moment, that helps. And then the thought comes back, but why? Because reassurance speaks to logic. Okay. But worst case scenario thinking lives deeper than logic. It's much deeper. It's in our nervous system. It's built in. Until that system feels that the mind, until it feels that the mind and body is safe, it's going to keep on scanning. It's going to keep on wondering and contemplating and overanalyzing. So instead of asking, how do I stop these thoughts? Because that's what we usually do. A more helpful question that could help you is, what is my mind trying to protect from me right now? What am I trying to prevent myself from? Am I trying to prevent myself from disappointment? Or is it upset? Or is it loss of control? Is it uncertainty? What is it? And most of the time it's very basic, like disapproval or rejection or disappointment. And when you approach your thoughts with this curiosity, instead of, oh my gosh, something needs to change, something needs to forcefully change, the intensity often will soften. That is part of taking care of yourself. It's not because you convinced yourself, but because you listened. You actually listened to what was going on underneath that. Whenever you want to shift this, those questions become really important. You don't eliminate the worst case scenario thinking, to feel better. It's not about that. It's about changing your relationship with it, not judging it. And where thoughts and information, they're just information to you, not, instructions, not, solid. These are established facts. They're signals, they're suggestions, they're not predictions. And we can change our thoughts in every moment. This is a very important thing. When you stop treating yourself like every thought that you think is true, that something needs to be solved, the mind slowly starts to learn, it doesn't need to escalate to be heard. It can be heard in the steadiness. That's where the steadiness and the calmness begins. In the next video is a members only video. I take this further. I dive deeper into this and we talk about how to work with these thoughts in real time, what to do when your mind starts just spiraling out of control, how to interpret the pattern, how to interrupt it, and without suppressing your emotions or distracting yourself, keeping yourself in the moment. It's very practical, and it's designed for these moments when reassurance isn't enough. If this conversation resonates with you, that's where we go deeper. And I hope that you'll subscribe to the channel, become a member of our community so you can get access to those member-only videos. Before you go, I want to ask you a few questions. Take your time in reflecting on these questions. You don't need perfect answers, just to reflect. What situations trigger you to do and to go down the road of worst case scenario thinking? Which situations trigger you the most? Is it at work? Is it at home? Is it in certain relationships? And do these thoughts show up around you, more around decision making, for example, in your relationships or your work situations? And when your mind goes there, what do you usually do first? Do you try to fight it? Do you distract yourself? Or do you just try to analyze it and overanalyze it? Please share your comments below. I'd love to hear it. You don't have to explain or justify. Just naming these patterns will really help you in finding how you can take your first step towards changing how it feels and how you can start to work with this. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.